we should come up with better conditions, better payments, better everything for teachers, to be honest.
They would rather do engineering, they would rather do maybe medicine and these other courses. Teaching is somehow or somewhat looked at in a certain way, right? So why do you think that is the case? Because okay, but do you think there's a difference between those who attend government school and those who attend private school?
Some things we don't really consider in certain societies, like for example, African societies, we don't even say. For example, here, if someone has dyslexia, they know they have dyslexia at a very young age, and their parents try to help them to to figure out how they can do better at school and whatever.
I think it's not only for those that are slow, but even for those that are geniuses at an early age. It's difficult to identify, if anything. So, what do you think can help to ensure that such situations are identified from an early age? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on when you'll be watching this video. Welcome to the Gift Kangele podcast. Today we'll be having yet an amazing session with yet an awesome guest who'll be guiding us through her life journey, as well as just her take on morality, identity, and growth. I'm excited to have her on board. Of course, she's an interesting person. I think she's going to share quite a number of insights on a number of things. So I hope you stay glued so that we'll be guided through this particular podcast. So today on this session, we have Zandile. I would have done some digging myself, to just get to understand the individual. But I think through this session, she's also going to help us understand who she is, her opinion on certain matters, and just her take on world matters and so on and so forth. So Zandile, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gift. Thank you.
Okay. So you can maybe introduce yourself.
Okay. Okay, my name is Zandile Mpofu. I am a student at Moscow State University of Civil Engineering. I'm doing my 4th year, and that's it. That's it for now. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, civil engineering, just from the get-go, it's not so very associated with females, I think. Or maybe I'm not just getting my statistics right.
No, yeah, no. Okay, these days there are a lot of girls in civil engineering. I think my class, for example, my group, there are 18 boys and 12 girls. So that's the difference is not so
It's
bad.
not so much, yeah. Okay. But why do you think that was, if it was ever the case, why do you think that was the case, that maybe a lot of females were not associated with civil engineering, or were not picking civil engineering as their career pathway?
Because it's hard. Okay, no. I think because certain things were just associated with, or rather people a long time ago, some time back anyway, thought some things are just for men because of the amount of work you need to put in. And I just think people didn't think construction really would be for females because of building and all of that. And during the course, like when you're doing the course, there are subjects that people think are hard, like maybe mathematics and physics and a lot of solving. So maybe I think that's why. But now I think people have let go of those thoughts, and people are getting to learn that a lot of things that men can do, women can do
as well.
And civil engineering is just,
It's one of those things.
One of those things.
Okay. So now, maybe before we get to you, even now doing civil engineering, almost graduating, if anything, already graduated.
Hopefully.
Maybe help us understand you growing up. What was it like? What are some of the things you remember from your childhood? How do you, picture your home? How do you remember your home? Or how was your upbringing?
Okay, my upbringing. Okay, so I was born and raised in Ndola, Zambia, Ndola. And I grew up with my sister, my big sister, and I was raised by my grandmother for a long time.
Okay.
And my upbringing was okay. I've been raised by not just my parents, but by family. My family have always worked hand in hand to raise me, to do things that I need, to give me what I need anyway.
They say it takes a community to raise a child. Yeah.
So the child is here.
Yeah.
So yeah, my upbringing was okay. I used to live in Lusaka. Then we moved back to Ndola. From there, I did my primary, and then after that, I went to what's this school? Hillcrest. Cream of the nation. I studied at Hillcrest. That's where I finished my grade 12. Okay. So yeah, and then I was raised by my grandmother, a very good woman, a hardworking woman. So most of the things I've learned in life, I learned from my grandmother. Okay. Then after that, I lived with my uncle, who, if you hear me talking for more than 1 hour, I'll talk about my uncle because he's a very important person in my life. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I've just been raised by very strong people, very good people who I've learned a lot from.
Okay. Yeah. Did you at any point ever attend private school maybe? No?
No, I'm a government baby.
Government baby. Okay, but do you think there's a difference between those who attend government school and those who attend private school?
I can't say. I have attended a private school, but it was just for like 1 year. So I don't really know if there's a difference. Maybe if you say those high-class private schools and government schools, if you say that, then I think there is a difference because the children at those good private schools, I think they have exposure to better things, like better material, better computers, better teaching systems. For example, the school I was at in like grade 8 and grade 9, we didn't have enough computers. So I remember when we were writing our grade 9 exams, we were doing ICT. We started at like, I think it was 9 hours, 10 hours. I don't know, whatever time exams start, grade 9 exams. And people finished at like 5 the next day. Ooh. Because there were I think we only had 20 computers. And we had like 7 classes. So people had to wait and sleep at school. So I think they have access to better things, to more things rather, not better things. But I think it also just depends on the types of teachers, because I can't say government schools are bad. I've learned a lot from government. I've learned from government schools. So,
But would you say that experience took so much from you, or did it add to you? Because you see, they'll say, when you go through a lot of struggles in life, they would say it builds you up, it shapes you, it makes you look even in places where you wouldn't have been looking should you have had those opportunities and so on. But again, they'll say when you don't have these things quite earlier, maybe they also deprive you of certain opportunities and so on. Also, maybe your mentality, you get to think in a certain way and so on and so forth. So do you think it took so much from you, or maybe did it add to you, depending on the exposure levels that you had at that point?
Okay, I don't think it took anything, to be honest, because I try my best not to be a victim. So I try to just look at the bright side of things. At the end of the day, we got an education, we learned, but better could have been done, but it's not something that I can complain about, like, oh, learning at these schools was terrible or anything like that. It was just okay. For me, it was okay. I was satisfied, so it's not something that I can complain about.
Okay, you talk about attending Hillcrest, the cream of the nation. almost every, maybe every would be too much categorization in a way, but I would say most of Zambians wish to have attended Hillcrest. At least it's among one of the sought out schools that somebody would wish to attend. And you attended that school. Were you in boarding school, or maybe you were in boarding school? Maybe
but we can only for 2 years though.
Only for 2 years.
Grade 10, 11 and 12.
Okay. So let's start there. Do you think boarding school is a necessity for everyone in life at some point, at least in their phase of life? Do you think it's a necessity?
I don't think it's a necessity, but it's good.
Okay.
I feel like I learned a lot from boarding school because when I was growing up, my only friend was my sister, so to say. I only started having friends in like grade 8 and grade 9. Then after that, because I didn't have friends, because mostly I was always with my sister. And I just got used to always being with my sister or my grandma, and just A long time ago, I was a bookworm. Like, I just used to think about
What
studying,
changed?
studying.
What
So,
changed?
Hillcrest, I mean. So,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I went there, I learned a lot about friendship and not depending on my family.
Okay.
Because you spend a lot of time with new people. You learn how to live with people. I can't say I'm good with living people up to now. I'm not very used to living with other people, but at least I learned how to live with people from different places. Because before that, it was only me, my sister, and my grandma, and my other relatives, of course, when I go to visit, my uncle, my aunties, and all of that.
Yeah.
So I feel like Hillcrest made me a bit stronger, to use a simple term anyway.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of things. I learned how to do things for myself because before that,
it was
it was bad
it was
because there was
different.
always someone to do things for me. So yeah, I feel like it's not a necessity, but it's good for a child's a person's development. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say are the noticeable differences between somebody who has attended boarding school and those that have not attended boarding school? If there are any.
I think it just depends on the person for real. Because I know some people who, like, some people think, it's just a small example. People who went to boarding school are very organized. I'm not organized. I'm not an organized person. I think I feel a bit uncomfortable when things are too organized.
Yeah, okay.
So some people think that people who went to boarding schools are organized. I don't know about that. But also I think a small noticeable difference is how people who went to like day schools who are always with their parents depend on their parents a bit too much. Yeah. And are used to have things being done for them. When you're at boarding school, it's just mostly you.
You're on your own.
You call your parents, maybe they tell you maybe once in a month. Visitation is maybe twice a term. And then you just have to learn how to do things. But it also depends on the person because there are people who went to day schools who can do everything for themselves. They are very organized. I know someone who is very organized, but she was at Mary Queen of Peace. She was at a day school. But she does things for herself. She's organized. So, yeah.
It depends with the individual.
I think. I wouldn't like to say people who go to boarding school are this because there are also different people who go to boarding schools. We come out different at the end of the day.
Now, just like I said, I think Hillcrest is one of those schools mostly sought out. Now, there's also maybe a mentality or maybe a perception that people that have attended such schools have. I would say so because I was at Solwezi Boys Technical School myself, and there's just a way you get to perceive yourself at the end of the day. I don't know, maybe that's just the case. So I would like to ask you the same question. Do you feel by mere virtue of attending Hillcrest that you are cut out for certain things in life, or maybe do you think that is just an individual thing that you have on yourself that you just want the best in life, or do you think that also contributes attending the best schools to want the best things in life?
Okay, personally, I just feel I'm made for something on my own. I don't think it's because I went to Hillcrest or something like that. But going to Hillcrest added a lot to who I am, so I can't remove that completely and say no, Hillcrest hasn't done anything for me. But before I went to Hillcrest, I've always just believed in myself so much and said, I think I say it a lot, that everything I want to do, I'll do. It will take time, it will take a lot of energy, but I'll do it. So before I went to Hillcrest, I was less of that mindset. I was in it, but I was less of it. But after I went to Hillcrest, not when I was at Hillcrest actually, after I saw what Hillcrest has done for me and what things I've learned from there. When you go to Hillcrest, I don't think Hillcrest is what people think it is. I think people think Hillcrest is just teachers come, they teach you, they give you all the material, you see it, it's the best school. It's not like that. We learn things on our own. Sometimes you have to, you put in most of the work on your own. So that's mostly what I learned from there.
But do you think it's also a good system, or is it bad? Because if you look at those select schools, for instance, in this case, Hillcrest, there's a cutoff point for you to be able to get in this particular institution, and that means that here you have mobilized the best across the country, and then there are also those other schools to which now these people have not been accepted in these particular schools get to go into. So you are almost creating a separation between those that are really good with those that are really not so good. So do you think creating those camps is good, or has it any effects? Is it really helpful in the grand scheme of things?
I think it's good and it's bad, really. I think it's good because if we're being honest, some people are just supposed to be something in life. Everyone has a role to play in life. So there are obviously people who are the best of the best, and when they are together, they function better. They help each other.
Yeah.
Then it's also bad because there are certain people who they have it in them, but they just need some extra motivation. They just need to be around a certain set of people for them to achieve something.
Yeah.
So let's say if we put the best of the best in one place, then we put the mid in one place, then we put the bad in one place. I feel like there are some people from the mid and the bad who can do better, but they just need some extra motivation to see how certain people are working. But if you put all of them in one place,
because now in that particular situation, they have nowhere to look. It's
nowhere
like
to look,
they are already weak. Now you've even given them the weak people.
So that they should compete with each other. But I feel like it's good and it's bad. It's good because it will keep the school's reputation high. I feel like at some point they started selecting anyone. I think they started provincial or something like that. And I think 2016 had a lot of 6 points. I think there were more than 100 6 points at Hillcrest. Then after that, it just went downhill. So they changed certain things. They removed girls. I think it's a boys' school now. It's not a girls' school anymore. It's not a core school, not a girls' school anymore. It's not a core school. I don't know how that is going, but I feel like they're just trying to take it back to what it was. And I feel like they think the school went down because they allowed those ones which we said that they bad, they allowed them to come. So I feel like it's good because it keeps the school's reputation where it's supposed to be, but it's also bad because of what I had mentioned earlier.
Which one would you say is the most cardinal thing to approach? Let's say in this situation, we've created a distinction between those that are good and those that are really bad. Which one is cardinal to approach to help those that are good at staying good or even becoming better, or to push those that are really bad to at least a place of good?
I think it depends on the situation, to be honest.
Okay.
I think it depends on the situation. But I think for me, I'll go with the one where you involve everybody, where you bring in everybody. But too much of everything is bad. So maybe if you have 80 good, you bring in 20 bad, so that they can help those 20. But if we say maybe a balance of the two, I don't think it would be very helpful, to be honest, because even if we're saying there are some people who are bad, who can be helped to become better, we shouldn't forget that there are also those people who are bad and just want to stay like that. No matter how much you try to help these people, they just don't want to, or I think there are a lot of reasons, honestly, for someone to be bad at certain things. Specifically school, I feel like there are a lot of things that cause someone to be bad at it. Some people are just not cut out for school. It's just not for them. They just don't like it. And then some, I feel like there are some things we don't really consider in certain societies. Like, for example, African societies. We don't even say, for example, here, if someone has dyslexia, they know they have dyslexia at a very young age, and their parents try to help them to figure out how they can do better at school and whatever. But in Zambia, a child can have dyslexia and their parents will just think the child is just dull. And they'll start telling their child bad things, no, you're just dull, something like that. And it demotivates them and they keep on getting worse. So I feel like, you can help those ones who are bad, but we should try to find ways to identify who can be helped, how they can be helped, and all of that. But that can be hard as well.
Okay.
But
now you've touched something really cardinal and something I think that is affecting a lot of societies, especially in Africa. Like you've said, in a society like this one, you are able to identify such cases and provide a certain type of learning to help these individuals who maybe they are sick, or maybe they have certain diseases and so on and so forth. Yeah. But now in Zambia, you have less of that. Like you've said, a child, they don't even get to identify that maybe this person has got this situation. And I think it's not only for those that are slow, but even for those that are geniuses at an early age. It's difficult to identify. If anything, they are labeled as crazy and so on and so forth. So what do you think can help to ensure that such situations are identified from an early age, and proper learning is allocated to this individual, so that they are really helped in a better manner, unlike just being labeled or categorized in a certain way?
Okay. Firstly, I feel like we need a better syllabus.
Okay.
I think it has been changed, right? I think they
Yeah,
brought
I
in
think
a
they're
new
working
syllabus.
on it.
They're working on a new syllabus. And I think that's helpful because there are certain kids who are just good at other things. I don't think we should force people. School is very important. Don't get me wrong. School is very important. I personally love school. I hate it and I love it. But there are certain people who are cut out for other things. They can be okay in school, but they are better in other things like business. They are better in sports. They are better in just different things. So I feel like having a better syllabus that accounts for everyone would be better. For example, at Hillcrest, it's a technical school. So we didn't have things like bookkeeping, business studies. We only had the serious stuff like ADMA, D&T, and all of that. So you'd find someone who's interested in bookkeeping and business. They had nothing. We had to go to ADMA. And ADMA didn't help you in anything that concerns business. So coming up with a better syllabus and better facilities for these, like when we adapt the syllabus, coming up with better ways to help people who are good at these things to get them. And then I think another thing in Zambia is that we have teachers who are not in love with the craft, to be honest. They hate being teachers. They despise it. They hate the kids they're teaching. They just hate everything. They're just there to get money. So I feel like people who are in love with the craft, who are in love with teaching and helping children, are the ones who should be teaching. I don't know how we can do that, but it's very important that you love what you're doing. I think it's very important that you love what you're doing, because you might find, the same way I was saying, the parents become angry at the kids who are a bit slow with learning. It's the same way the teachers are going to treat them. They will favor the bright ones more. They will talk to them more, and they will tell the other kids, you should be like this kid, instead of trying to figure out what's wrong with this kid. Do they just have problems with reading? Do they have problems with solving? Do they just not understand me? Should I explain it in another way? I don't think teachers do that. Teachers in Zambia are not very helpful at certain points in life.
Maybe I'll ask you what may seem to be a very personal question. Do you think you can become a teacher yourself?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not very good with explaining. I don't like to explain, and I get confused very fast. I forget very fast. So I feel like I just can't do it. It's just not for me. But there are people who I know that are very good at teaching. When they explain, for example, I had some classmates in grade 12. A teacher would explain whatever they wanted to explain, however they wanted to explain it, and I would just not understand. But I had especially ADMA and chemistry. I was bad at those subjects. I was so bad at chemistry and ADMA. So what I did is I started becoming friends with the people who are very good at it. So I had a friend, Camila. She's from Chingola. We were in the same class. And then she's the one who helped me to become better at ADMA. Like I was so bad at ADMA. You people, I think the highest I got was like 40%, and that was me doing good.
Yeah.
So like after that, I found people who were able to explain to me in a certain way that I was able to understand.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, this stuff is not even hard. I can get it.
Yeah.
So I feel like certain teachers don't try to understand what's wrong with the student and try to help them.
Yeah.
For them, as long as they have some good pupils in class, that's okay by them. They don't care about who's doing bad. That's between you and your parents. You will sort it out. But yeah. So I feel like a teacher is who is supposed to help us with school. Or at school rather. They are our parents at school. But some don't take it like that. They're just there for the salary and that's it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, because I asked that question because I think what you'll find is people who get good marks at grade 12, scores like 6 points, single numbers, I would say, wouldn't want from the get-go to get into the school of education. They would rather do engineering, they would rather do maybe medicine and these other courses. Teaching is somehow or somewhat looked at in a certain way, right? So why do you think that is the case? Because I think in that same process, we are ending up losing people who would have done it for the passion, but we end up having people who do it because it's their last resort, because they can't get into the school of engineering, because they can't get into the school of medicine. They end up doing what they consider to be their last resort. And these are the people you end up classifying as frustrated teachers because they never wanted to be teachers even in the first place. Yeah. So why do you think people wouldn't pick teaching? I know there are others who would pick it from the get-go, but why do you think others don't get to pick it from the get-go?
I think it's just mostly, firstly, I think it's just our mindset. Because even when a parent notices that their child is bright, the first thing they're going to put in their head is, my child is going to be a doctor. My child is going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer.
Yeah.
They never say my child is going to be teaching biology or anything like that. Yeah. So I feel like firstly, it's just our mindset. And then I feel like people think they'll do better in those other courses because of how they managed to get through with them in high school and whatever. So they feel like they should go for, sorry to put it this way, but the bigger money.
Yeah.
They would rather go for if I had, if I was good with like teaching, and then maybe they tell me I'm going to be getting this much in teaching. This is as far as I can go in teaching.
Yeah.
Then they tell me there's engineering, and this is how far you can go with engineering. Then I see the money there. Personally, as me, Zandile Mpofu, I'm going to go for engineering because there's bigger money there. So I feel like even just wanting bigger money and bigger status and all of that, it adds to how to our decision making.
Do you think that are you saying we don't have better examples of people that have done teaching and amounted to quite so much in life? Yeah,
they're there, but I don't think these people are very heard of because of how people talk about the other courses. Of course, like if
you can hardly even have an example of it. I can't think of anyone
as well. So I feel like there are more examples of people who have done engineering because the mindset is going on. It's not stopping. Even up to now, people are not stopping to say when they see a bright child, they'll say, "Oh, you look like you'll be a teacher." No, there's nothing like that. They'll still say, "You look like you'll be a doctor."
Yeah.
So the examples of people who are doing better in engineering and these other courses are more than the ones who have done teaching.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think should be done to change this situation or narrative, so that at least from the get-go we can have people who choose education, and in turn we will now have people who really put in the effort to understanding the abilities of the child, the difficulties of the child, and really helping them? Because I think education or school is a critical phase in anyone's life, such that it really sets you up on how you turn out to be in life. So how do you think we can address the situation so that at least we have more focused teacher, more competent teachers, and teachers who are really teachers because they wanted to be teachers? Yeah.
Okay, firstly, I feel like we should let our children be who they want to be. We should let them choose from a young age who they want to be. We shouldn't put these ideas in their head and say, oh, you're supposed to be a what? Because personally, I've never had anyone tell me what I'm going to be or become. So, but also that's a problem. But anyway, I feel like we shouldn't put these things in their heads. We should let people be who they are, children be who they are.
Yeah.
And then I think another thing is we should come up with better conditions for teachers. Because sometimes people are just scared of not becoming that big if they take that route.
Yeah.
Whether they love it or not, you have to consider, you have to put yourself, you have to put yourself first, in short.
Yeah, that's just the normal thing. The logical way of thinking.
You put yourself first before you think about the number of students you could help and whatnot. So I feel like we should come up with better conditions, better payments, better everything for teachers, to be honest. So, yeah, we should really consider knowing the importance of teachers, because teachers are very important.
Yeah.
Good teachers are very important, and we should know the importance of teachers. Yeah.
But what can you say about the teachers that you've had in your life? Maybe the best teacher that you can remember, or even the worst teacher that you can remember. Because I can tell you about my experience.
The worst teacher that I had, like in high school? Oh, I can't think of anyone.
Not one?
The worst teacher I had. I wasn't a bad student.
Okay.
So teachers didn't dislike me.
Yeah.
So I've never really had
But we also do have teachers who just dislike you because you are so
You
good.
are like that.
Yeah.
I had a man who didn't like me because I was bad at chemistry. I was bad at his subject, so it was valid.
At least that's valid.
Yeah, that's valid. It's not his fault. It was my fault. So I don't think I have a teacher. And then I was not rebellious in high school. I just have this thing. If someone is bothering me, I used to try to bother them more. So if he answers me in a certain manner, I'll answer him to make him feel worse than he's making me feel. So I don't think he was a bad teacher, because we started getting along at the end of high school when I started doing better for myself in his subject. But the best teacher I've had... The best teacher I've had, I've had so many good teachers in my life, to be honest.
Okay, but at least one.
Number one, that one is easy, Mr. Maluva.
Okay.
He was my physics teacher. I had him from grade 10. Then we stopped for some time. Then he came back in, I think, grade 11. He was my physics teacher. Yeah. He used to make us slash.
Yeah.
If you get less than a distinction, you're going to slash. So what used to happen with me is I used to get 74%.
Yeah.
Every time. Like every time I'll get 74% and I'll go slash. And then he used to call us doctors. So he'll be like, Dr. Mpofu, you're going to slash again. And then you'd think I would hate someone like that, but it was motivating for me until in the end, I started to understand physics better, because I used to put in the work, because he was punishing us because we were not doing good. He wasn't just punishing us from without. But I feel like that's one of the best teachers I've had in my life, Mr. Maluva and Mrs. Piri from grade 3. She was also good. Yeah. Those are the highlights of my life.
Yeah, I also remember having a Mrs. Piri. She was so amazing. I don't know, maybe it's just in the name. Yeah, you've talked about something really interesting in your recount of Mr. Maluva, where he seemed to have had created this system of positive affirmation, in a way, if I can say, where he's calling you doctor even at the point where you're not a doctor. I think such statements have a certain effect on you. And also punishing what we may term bad behavior, although these are just bad results. What do you think that does for a person? Do you think we should punish bad behavior or bad outcome, or should we reward, good behavior, and how do these affect an individual in the grand scheme of things?
I think it just depends. I'm talking about punishment right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like it depends on the nature of the punishment. Mm-hmm. For Mr. Malua, he never used to tell us, like, you guys are so bad, you're going to work or something like that. Mm-hmm. He would first explain why he's punishing you and what you need to do after that punishment and how your work, what results your work will bring. So he wasn't like, no, I'm punishing you because you guys are so bad at physics, I don't like you guys. He would tell us, you are not doing good at physics and you need to put in more work. So now what's going to happen is that I'll punish you and you remember this punishment when you want to rest or you just want to laze around. You're going to remember what I'm doing to you now, and then you would work hard. Yeah. But I feel like whether they reward the good ones or they punish the bad ones, I feel like the results depend on the people you're doing that to. For example, if you're rewarding the good ones, and then I have a victim mentality, I just be like, they just give the good ones. They don't even motivate us to do better. They just always give the good ones. And then no matter how hard I try, I'm never one of the good ones. So I just become lazy. And then there are also the bad ones who will just be like, I'm always being punished for being bad, because I could have also done that. I think I got 74 in each and every term until grade 12. From grade 10, I was always getting 74%. And this is only 1% away. I would check the paper to see if there are corrections. I would check everything, there are corrections, and there was always nothing.
There was always nothing.
So if I wanted, at some point, I would have just been like, I'm also tired now. I've tried my best, but I didn't stop. So I feel like it also depends on the receiver of what's happening. But rewarding the good ones also motivates some people to work harder and motivates the good ones to work harder as well. So I feel like it depends on the receiver.
Okay. Now, in your secondary school, were you ever a prefect?
Yes, I was.
Okay, what prefect?
Entertainment.
Okay. You don't look like somebody who is really into entertainment. You look too serious to be into entertainment.
I'm strict, to be honest. I've accepted that I'm a strict person. So
what happened?
What happened? I was just in entertainment committee.
Okay.
And I don't know what happened, to be honest. I was a bit serious with it. I don't think I was the one who was supposed to be put there in the first place. But I tried to work hard to get it. I tried to do the right thing. So I don't know how it happened or why it happened. But all I know about that is that my uncle wasn't happy about it. I went home and then I loved it. I loved my position, to be honest. So I went home the following holiday. And I was telling my uncle, I was like, I'm a prefect. He was like, what prefect are you? He was like, librarian, come. And I was like, I'm not a librarian, try again. I was like, yeah, the head girl. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, no, entertainment. And I was like, what happened? What do you mean? But like, I feel like after that, I just got used to it. I don't look like it. I don't act like it. But I fell in love. I was already in love with the position. And I just tried my best to help in ways that I could. Of course, I couldn't do the entertainment part because of the type of person I am. I'm a bit funny, but like I try to be a funny person, but I'm not someone who is like naturally entertaining. I'm not like that. I'm quite serious and strict most of the times. So I tried to help in ways that I could, like to make sure the surroundings are clean, to make sure the people who are working under my department do their best in like school and they are clean, they do their portions, and that the other things were dependent on the other people who had the ability to make the department better. But for me, of course, I just did what I could do.
Okay. Yeah. Now you you've said you were a prefect in secondary school. Do you think just you being a prefect in secondary school has an effect on how you carry yourself, how you look at things, your leadership style, and so on and so forth? Or is it still just a matter of what type of an individual you are, or what type of person you are?
I think for certain things, like for example, leadership and all of that, for me personally, I've been in leadership positions for a long time.
Yeah.
The time I was a prefect, the first time I was a prefect was in grade 7, grade 6, 7. I was at this small school. It was a government school. I've already told you that I've been to a lot of government schools. So we were few. It was only grade 1 up to 7, and I was the head girl there.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the first time I was put in a leadership position, and yeah, I feel like it helps with how you relate to certain people, even when you're put in other leadership positions. For example, how you relate with people, how you tell people how to do things, rather. Because when you're a leader, you probably be giving out instructions.
Yeah.
So I feel like after having these positions, it's helped me to try to learn how to talk to different types of people. Because people don't receive instructions the same way. People don't respond to being told to do something the same way. Some people, I have to be hard on them, like I have to tell you have to do this. Some people I could probably tell them as a joke, like you have to do this. Some people I just have to like explain to them and all of that. Even just not instructions, I feel like it helps with how you relate to certain people, how you understand different types of people. And yeah.
Now, I just want to take you back to something that you had shared, because I was also a prefect myself back in secondary school when you were talking about punishment. And I remember, I think I visited the police almost, like, I think over 10 times, responding to prefect cases with students. And I always used to wonder, why is it that there are certain prefects who, when they punish a student would almost would at the end of the day report them maybe to the administration, or maybe take them to the police, and so on and so forth. But an exact situation maybe would happen with another prefect, and nothing would be heard of. Everything would just be quiet, and so on and so forth. So I started, observing these situations, and I discovered that when you punish, whenever you punish a student, and they don't understand why you are punishing them, or they don't agree to your punishment, it would always result to such situations where they go to the police, they report to their parents or the administration, and so on. But those that really made sure that the student understood the punishment, when the student accepted the punishment, like everything would work out just well. The person will understand, even improve at the end of the day. So when you are speaking of punishment, I feel like a person really has to understand why you are punishing them, and they also have to accept the punishment for them to even appreciate it at the end of the day.
That's why I said you have to learn how to tell certain people things. You have to learn. Sometimes they're just bad boys, and there are certain students who were apparently bad boys to other prefects. But I tried to understand how to tell these people why they are being punished, and how they are being punished, and what their behavior has led to. Like, why is this happening? And how you can maybe do better. Because in entertainment, they are very troublesome kids, to be honest. It's just like that. It's standard. The bad boys of the school are in entertainment. I don't know if it's like that for other schools.
I think so.
But in Hillcrest, not the bad boys, but the ones who people thought were too cool, or just bad boys, or like that, were in entertainment. So I really had to try to learn how to talk to these kids, because you would find other prefects are always complaining about them. No, this boy is bad. But like when I'm with them, I'm like, everything is okay. So now I make it my duty to defend the child, because I know that the boy is good, but maybe it's the way you talked to them that led them to act like that. You didn't try to talk to them in a way. Sometimes people just feel disrespected in the way that you tell them something.
Yeah.
And the way I said some time back, I was like, when someone tries to tell me something in a way that's hateful, I'll try to hate them more than they've hate me. So maybe you hate them and they want to prove a point, so they'll hate you more. So yeah.
Now, in addressing what we've just talked about, where you try to understand the other individual, I think it brings about now the aspect of compromise, where now there are certain situations where you have to compromise on certain things in order to achieve whatever that you've set out to do. What's your take on the idea of compromise, and how do you think it should be approached? Because, you know, I've heard of stories where somebody's like, I'm always the big person, I'm always the one who has to compromise and so on and so forth. So what's your take on that idea
on
of
compromise itself, like just in general?
Just in general, and maybe you can give certain situations or how on what you feel should be done in a particular situation, or how somebody can best approach it.
I feel like common understanding between people helps with compromise. If you tell me about something that's affecting you, and I don't even try to understand how it's affecting you, I'll just not compromise because I'm not understanding you. So I feel like understanding is very important for compromise.
So from the get-go, you are saying you shouldn't compromise if the other person doesn't understand that you are compromising.
No, okay. I'm saying that for you to compromise, you have to understand. I feel like people are complaining about compromising because they are not understanding each other, because you are always understanding the other person and they are not understanding you.
Okay.
So I feel like compromise is not supposed to always be a one-way thing.
Okay.
If we are understanding each other, like if I see that something is affecting your gift, and I understand how it's hitting you and you've told me how it's disturbing you or something like that, then I would have to compromise. But if I see that something is affecting you, but I don't understand, I don't care, it's just not, I feel like it's none of my business, I won't compromise. So for me, personally, I feel like understanding is very important for compromise.
But usually, I think what's usually the case is there seem to be a group of people that is always compromising.
The compromisers.
And another group.
The victimizers.
So usually the problem is not so much with those that are compromising, because for them to even compromise in the first place, it means they understand the situation. At least they're able to read and be able to compromise for you. But now they end up being in a situation where they are always the ones to compromise. So now what happens in that situation? Are you saying maybe the others are not compromising because maybe you are not explaining to them enough, or it's just...
I think we should also just understand that some people are just like that. Like some people are just bad. Not everyone can be good.
Okay.
So on top of not understanding, some people they just don't consider you. No matter how much you explain how something is disturbing you or something like that, some people won't just compromise gift. No. And I feel like sometimes it's important to accept that some people are just...
Should we even be compromising for such individuals?
No, like that's what I'm saying. You should just understand that this person doesn't have my best interest at hand. And I can't always just compromise for them. You have to reach a point where you say, enough is enough. You just say, enough is enough, and you stop. Because you can't always be the compromiser. It's not good, it's not healthy, and it's not good for your... I don't want to call it relationship, but your... whatever it is, whatever is going on there, it's not healthy for you. So if you see that someone is not compromising, at some point you have to stop. You can't always be the compromiser.
Yeah, you can't always be the bigger person. The understanding
person.
Now, currently you are studying here in Russia. There are people who studying abroad is a far-fetched idea. It's unattainable. It's something it's for a selected few, in short, to others. Run me through you getting to Russia, how you even set it up in your mind that, okay, I've decided I'll study abroad, and the process of actually even getting here.
I think I just knew. at some point. I just told myself I didn't want
Now you see why I was saying maybe going to a certain school, maybe doing certain things, just make you feel like you are.
But there are people who went to the same school who didn't even think of that. Do you get? That's why I said it depends on the person.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Because there are some people who went to my school, but they didn't want to come abroad.
You see, they just didn't want. Not that they didn't think it was possible.
So you're saying, what are you saying?
What I'm trying to say, I think that attending certain schools just make you think you are set out for certain things in life.
Yeah.
Because I think there are hardly any people who've gone to Hillcrest that think they cannot study abroad.
Maybe.
I don't know why that is the case, but yeah, it seems to be the case. Yeah, so maybe you can run us through.
Personally, I just wanted to, because I didn't really want to study at certain places at home.
Yeah.
But it's not like in my head it was just like, I'm going abroad, I'm not going to study in this country.
Yeah.
I wanted to, so I tried to work towards it. I was actually rejected. I was rejected by China.
Okay.
So yeah, China didn't accept me, but I kept trying.
Yeah.
And when China didn't accept me, I was a bit sad.
Okay.
I was a bit sad. Then I told my uncle, the one who I told you I was living with. I told him. Then he was like, there's still a lot of other options. You can go to Russia, you can go to Morocco, you can go to Algeria.
Yeah.
And then I tried Russia. Here we are.
Yeah, and here we are. Okay, quite interesting. Is there any moment in your life that you can look back at where you did not believe in something, but somebody said something to you, and you ran on what that person said to you? Okay. Can you share that?
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Okay. For me, when I've always been not really good with school. Yeah. I'm not very good with school.
Yeah.
But I put in work, which makes me okay in school. So at some point when I went to Hillcrest, I became very lazy. Like I was very lazy. I wasn't doing as good as I used to.
Yeah.
So I feel like after that, if it wasn't for my uncle, the one who I keep talking about obviously all the time, I wouldn't have even past grade 12, to be honest, because I became so bad. Then there was this night, I remember very well. It was at 21:05, my uncle called me. He just received my results from the previous semester.
Yeah.
They just got to, because we used to send them by what's pochta? By
post office.
Post office.
Yeah.
So they just got there. They just got to his office in the afternoon. I'm sure he saw them, then he wasn't impressed. So he called me at night. He was like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "No, nothing. What's wrong?" Then he was like, "You're not doing well at school." Then I was like, at the moment, I was trying to be a victim. That's why I try my best not to be a victim these days.
Yeah.
But I was like, "No, the teachers don't teach and whatever." Yeah. Then he was like, "But the same class you're in, they're your friends, others are doing well. So with you, what's the problem?" Then I was like, "Nothing is the problem." Then he was like, "No, you're the problem." So like he just insisted that I'm the one who's not working hard enough.
Yeah.
And then something my uncle has always told me is apply yourself. Like just simply apply yourself.
Yeah.
So after that, I've always tried to put in work into things. I might not be good at certain things, just like school. I don't think I'm like those children who are just born and are good at school.
Yeah.
But I try my best to apply myself and put in work. So I feel like without my uncle, a lot of things wouldn't have gone the way they've gone. And I'm going to cry. But yeah, I feel like without my uncle, a lot of things wouldn't have gone how they've gone in my life. And just the way I feel like my uncle believes in me, to be honest. Sometimes I feel like I felt like I couldn't do certain things. But just by simply having him tell me to apply myself and that they believe in me, they know I can do better, I'm just being lazy. it's helped me a lot in life.
Yeah, because I think I can also recall a moment, because I remember in my secondary school, school wasn't really a big thing for me. It's just like you go to school, get good grades, and that's it. But it started becoming difficult to some extent. And I remember I should have been the PS at the time. She visited the school and she had a talk to the students. And there's a specific phrase I even remember up to this day. She said, when you go to write the exam, ensure you hammer. Just that word, hammer. Like, it kept on ringing in my head. It became a ringtone. And each time I went to class, I just kept on remembering, make sure you hammer, make sure you hammer. And everything I kept on doing, I just wanted to ensure that I hammered everything. So I think there's just something that certain words do to us, I think.
And then I think these people don't even know that they've done that much for you. I don't think my uncle even remembers calling me on that day. But to me, it's been a very life-changing time in my life, because after that, I studied. When I tell you I used to study, I did my very best after that, because I saw that for real, people in my class, even my friends, like my closest friends, are doing so good. So, like, what am I not doing that these people are doing? And yeah, I'm just very thankful to my uncle, to be honest.
And I think that's why it's really important to say something positive to people, and we should be really mindful of the things we say, because certain things, like we've shared right now, they built us. But of course, there are certain things that are capable of destroying others. Those words will remain as ringtone to somebody. Before you know it, maybe they even take their life, and so on and so forth. They end up destroying them. Now, I would love to ask you a morality question. Okay, so you just share your opinion on what you on what you think, and yeah, but it's not really a tough question per se, but it may have so many layers to it. So I would like you to just take a moment, even as you answer it. So the question is it morally acceptable to lie in order to protect somebody from harm? Okay.
No, I don't think lying is good in any situation. Okay, personally, I try my best now, especially now, not to lie. Like, I really, really try my best not to lie. A long time ago, I noticed that I would lie about simple things. Like, let's say I'm going somewhere with someone, and then I'm late. Then they'll ask me, where are you? And then I just can't say that I'm 5 stations away. I'll say maybe 2 stations away. Yes. So I try my best not to lie. Like, I feel like if the person is going to get upset, they'll get upset and they'll go through those emotions. Emotions were made for people. That's one thing I've tried to understand now. So I do my best not to lie these days. Like, even if, let's say, I go late for something, I go late for class, and then the lecturer will ask me, why are you late? A long time ago, I would say something like, I went to the dean of students for foreigners. But I was just maybe doing my hair or singing in the room. So most of the times, I just try my best to say, I don't have an excuse for this, I'm just sorry. But I don't think it's good. Even over the simplest things, I try my best not to lie. If I can't do something, I'll just tell you, no, I can't. If I can do something, I'll tell you, yes, I can, and why I can do it. But I don't think it's good to lie to protect someone, because at the end of the day, I feel like people find out, to be honest. I feel like if you lie to protect someone, then they find out later on, it will hurt them more than if you had just told them the truth and tried to explain why that's the truth to you. And I feel like someone lied to me at some point, and it was very hurtful. And then that's when I just said, okay, I'm never going to lie to someone because it has pained me. This one has pained me. So I try my best not to lie. Like, even over the simplest things, I try my best not to lie.
Is there a situation where lying has ever been helpful?
Yeah, of course. In classes, when I'm telling someone something, obviously. Yeah, but it's not good to lie, to be honest. These days I try my best, especially like starting from late last year or early this year, I don't know. I try my best not to lie about anything. I try my best to be very truthful to people. They'll get hurt, but like...
At least they'll understand.
They'll understand, and I'll try to explain.
And at least it's the truth. Now, I think the common reason that people will give you as to why they would opt to lie is sometimes telling the truth presents certain dangers. Like, you even know for sure that here, maybe let's say for instance you are put over by the police and so on. They ask you certain questions. If you know that the truth here is going to get me in cells, or the truth here is going to end this relationship, or the truth here is going to bring forth these certain things, and people are just are so much afraid to say what is, and they would rather lie. So how do you think people can approach that? How do you think they can get so grounded, so firm to say, okay, I'm going to say it, and no matter what happens, I don't really care?
Not really care, but I feel like you should tell people the truth, even if it will hurt you. Sometimes telling someone the truth might even hurt you on your own.
Yeah.
But trying to care and to explain to someone how this truth is, how you're standing by that truth, and how you're sorry, how it will affect the person, but you just try to make them understand. That one for the police, I don't know, because that one is a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But like in other situations, as you say, it might end your relationship or whatever. Just try your best to be truthful, Mwandi. Like, you should try your best to explain the truth to the person in the best way you can. Try to show care, remorse in your truth. Try to make sure the person is understanding you, and try to be sorry.
Yeah.
But it also depends on the situation in which you're lying about.
Yeah.
For example, you said, no, this truth might end the relationship. You knew in the first place that truth will hurt your relationship. So why did you go and do it? So you have to own up to the things you do at some point. You have to just say, I've done it, but I'm sorry, and this is how I'll try to do better in this position.
Yeah.
If you can't do better in that situation, you just let the person know, like, I'm sorry I did this, but like, this is what led to it, and this is what happened.
Now, I think we can go on and on discussing these topics and sharing ideas and so on and so forth. But as we wrap up this conversation, I'll ask you this question. Imagine you are meeting somebody for the first time and the last time. What would you say to this person that will set them up on a life of self-discovery, or the best advice that you would give to them that will set them up in life in general? What would you say to them? You're meeting them for the first time, and this is also the last time.
What I would tell them to...
Something that has worked for you.
Something that has worked for me is just living life.
Okay.
Just taking life as it comes. So I'll just tell them to live life, to be honest, and not, okay, one thing, number one, for me, as a person that has helped me in life, is don't be too hard on yourself.
Okay.
I've always been too hard on myself. So now I feel like life has been easier and better when I'm not too hard on myself. So live life and don't be too hard on yourself.
Okay. Live life and don't be too hard on yourself.
Live life in the moment. Like, live life now.
Okay.
Try to live life where you are. Like, in the now. Try to take in life as it is at the moment.
Okay, Zandile, it's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So many things you've touched on, and hopefully you've been able to learn so many things from this particular session. And also, hopefully, we can have you on again and another time, because I'm sure there are more topics that we can get to discuss and so on and so forth. And for those that joined us in this particular session, this is the end of this particular episode. Join us for more, and see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.